Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Thursday, November 27th. I present to your attention another market review for Forex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So, the trading idea for the pound and the dollar, as well as for the euro dollar, which I shared today, has worked out. It's a holiday in the United States, or as they also say in the States, Thanksgiving Day, so in the evening, we don't have any news, and I think we can only count on European volatility, but in any case, let's see what we can trade on the charts. Let's go. Let's not start with small talk, but with gold, which is showing a strong bullish trend. I remind you that on Thanksgiving Day, volatility is usually low, but then the next day it picks up. The plan I have for growth on this instrument remains in place and is gradually shifting to the right according to this scenario. It's possible we might see a dip down, giving us a chance to buy at a good price, following the same pattern we've seen before during the previous long setup. As for the euro-dollar pair, yesterday the trading day worked out for growth towards the first target, meaning the renewal of the most basic impulse that occurred at the beginning of the week. Basically, this was pretty easy to read on the 15-minute charts. A classic setup, a break of the short structure, an impulse, a pullback to test a long break during the US session through consolidation, a dip down, and then a new high. All of this is great, but today there probably won't be any volatility. And here, actually, there's a rather strange and somewhat unusual situation unfolding. The thing is, according to the weekly setup, we have a weekly engulfing pattern, so in theory we should be dropping down this week. There could also be impulses or sharp movements within this decline. But on the other hand, this area, this platform, hasn't really gone anywhere either. This trend line still exists, as does the short break zone from where you could have sold, but honestly it's not that great. In reality, this short break is somewhere in this area, and it was broken through with difficulty, not easily at all. In the end, the instrument dropped, but I wouldn't call it a clear break. I'm not sure. So, as a result, we have this picture. Below, there's long break number 1, then long break number 2, and above, some kind of odd short break, more or less. Now, if we look at this situation a bit more closely, we can see that the market is presenting us with a rather complex and ambiguous structure. The price action here is not straightforward, and there are several conflicting signals that make it difficult to interpret with certainty. The presence of both long and short breaks, as well as the persistence of the trendline and the platform, all contribute to this overall sense of uncertainty and indecision in the market. And those who bought from the long break and are sitting at break-even might be able to hold until the highs are updated. I wrote about this yesterday. For those who want to sell, the short break zone isn't clearly defined. The instrument dropped, but it broke its structure in an ambiguous way. That is, there is a short impulse you can rely on, and there is also a long impulse you could have relied on yesterday to buy, and that gave even $500 or $600. But honestly, I do not even know right now what to prefer for this instrument. Getting into the market today, considering the sluggish volatility in the US, is also quite questionable. The thing is, the Asian markets have already tested the pure short break, which means they have already sold their positions, and that happened overnight. So overall, everything is very strange here, so I think it's better to wait.
Looking for real trading advantages? Forex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
Unlike the euro, the pound-dollar pair worked out the fourth level very technically. There was a great test of the long break, and then it shot up 1,000 points quite sharply. Congratulations to those who participated in this move. From the weekly perspective, it looks like that's about it for us here. If the market closes like this, it will be a bullish engulfing pattern. That's a bit of a disappointment for those who want to sell, but Friday hasn't closed yet. If there's a good sell-off, then it will be a pin bar, which would indicate that we'll be pushing down on these lows. So for now, it's unclear. Yes, the level has been taken. There's no technical test of the short breakdown that was above, so that's basically it. In other words, there was an impulse breakdown, then an immediate test, and we moved up. So for now, I don't see any new trading ideas here. There's money above, but we haven't reached the short breakdown. Overall, everything is very strange. The situation is also strange with the Australian dollar. Again, if we look at the week, as of right now, it's closing with an engulfing pattern. Not all targets have been hit, especially for August. It's all very odd. The week has already broken, you could say, the top of last week. Here's a little spike. See, a very neat, very careful spike, but it happened last night. But the wave structure hasn't been broken yet, meaning this wave hasn't been rewritten. This is also a very unusual and strange situation, so I would personally wait here for a test of the long break, just like with the previous two instruments, which actually didn't have it.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
But the dollar Canadian dollar isn't as technical for me. The dollar Canadian dollar broke its long structure and tested the short break and just stalled there, although it left some liquidity above. Honestly, I don't know what to say here to please anyone. The short break zone, well, again, it held here, right? So those who sold in this zone with a stop of 500 are now getting a 1.1 risk reward of 500. Our new short structure is now here, and the long structure is here. I'm talking about the break, of course. So if you want to sell, the selling zone is in this area, and you can hold roughly to here. We haven't reached this point, so we don't consider these zones. We don't need them. Dollar yen. The dollar yen is still in a flat, but it's trying to grow. Remember, such locomotives don't turn around quickly, but I have a feeling that a combination like this could happen and you could participate in it. The long break will be here, but if it gets broken, naturally this will become a green zone, and then you can work from the pullback to continue the movement, and the buying zone will be here.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Oil isn't rising or falling, it's currently stuck at $58 per barrel, remaining steady for the time being. Sorry, there aren't any news updates yet, so everything is just dragging along, moving quite slowly. Something tells me that all this sluggish tension is a build-up before a powerful impulse, which could possibly start after the war. Let's call it the Venezuelan one, God forbid, of course, but anything can happen. The long break zone has already been tested many times, and for now, there are no updates here. In general, Americans tend to pull off their military tricks on weekends, often taking advantage of the quieter market conditions. And that's very bad news for holding such positions. Because even if you actually have stop orders in place and there's an unexpected news gap, well, I call it a weekend gap, that's filled with news, your stops won't work. And I've had that happen to me. I watched it all unfold rather sadly when you have a stop in place, but the market, for example, opens here in this zone, let's say, while your stop was set over here. And you get closed out right here, and you won't be able to prove anything because the terms and conditions of most brokers are written so cleverly that, unfortunately, you are basically a nobody there. You have no say.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
Bit, friends, it's growing, the weekly candle is closing quite decently. But that's logical, because there's a support zone present here. Monet, raid niche, those who bought at 80,000 and want to exit at 100, friends, that's a 20% gain, which is not insignificant, and even without leverage, that's quite achievable. Just imagine, right? Bitcoin, let's call it Bitcovina, was worth 120,000. Now it's worth 80, and let's call you an investor. You think, well, it's reasonable. If I buy at 80 and sell at 100, why not? It was already at 120. And I think that's exactly on this kind of momentum that we're seeing this corrective movement. Even if this isn't a reversal, it's a correction, and the long breakdown zone was at 85. For now, I don't see anything new here. How far will it go? It's still unclear. But technically, aside from testing this long breakdown, I don't see any clean setups. Let's mark it green, of course. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.